How are we doing, everyone? Today we're going to look at the Mazda MX-5, so stay tuned, we're going to be painting and welding. So we're back with the MX-5 again this week, everyone. So last week I kind of did a bit of a painting tutorial, but this week I want to do a bit more of a rundown on the welding and the process that I suppose that we carried out throughout the car, and then I'm going to show a bit of the painting again. But if you want a more in-depth process of the painting, make sure you go back, check that video. Yeah, so we'll dive right straight into it. So here's the car. Here's when I wanted to change it from an automatic to a manual. So we got the engine taken out here. You can see the engine lift, getting the car out, or getting the engine out of the car. Such a painful process to get that done. Every single bolt in the car was just rusty. It refused to come off. Half of them were seized. Half of them had to be grinded off the car. Really painful process if you're getting a car that's a bit rusty. If it's not so rusty, if it's clean underneath, maybe be a bit better. But nah, this is a really horrible job to get done. Got it done within 3-4 days with the help of with my father, but we got it done in the end, and it really was worth it. To get it ready for welding, had to get some of the panels taken off. So here I'm taking the rear bumper off. Again, the 4 bolts that keep it on the back and every bolt that catches it on, I suppose near the front of the bumper, they were all rusted, all seized, all rounded, so took longer than what it should have taken to get the bumper off. Got it off eventually. Some of the surface rust, I grinded it off as well while I was at that. Get the car jacked up and we get our access stands underneath. I usually put them underneath the suspension here because a bit more solid, a bit more secure rather than putting them on the frame rails. Getting the wheels taken off, just having a look at what we're dealing with. I suppose you can see the rust coming through the rear fender there, and at the bottom of the sill there you can see that there was a bit of welding done previously, but the rust is coming back through that, so not a great sign there. Here we're taking our front wing off. Came off pretty easy. The toughest part was trying to get the bolts off near the front where it meets the bumper. Grinding off, so we had an angle grinder here with a disc on it and getting some of the surface rust off that. You can really see that rust there just flying up in the air everywhere. So, and you can see that front suspension as well. The spring was sold, it actually cracked, so that needs to be done as well. Here we have our rear fender at the back of the car and the bottom of the sill, so I grinded that out. And as you can see, even before poking around, the rust is already flying out of there. So this was welded previously by someone. I don't know, why would you weld over rust? I know you want to get the car sold, but would you not at least treat that, for the love of God? Just wire wheel it and weld over it. Don't just weld over rust. That's such a crime. So very frustrating to see that buying the car when it had that patch of welding done, but welding over rust, really bad for him to do that. But anyway, it's all going to be replaced anyway, so just poking around, getting any loose bits out of there, just getting a bit of a gauge of how bad it really is. And here's our car before we tackle the full-on welding. So here's our rear fender that I got off classiccarparts.ie. Really great service. They supply really high quality products, so definitely check them out if you're in Ireland looking to get some parts for your Mazda or any other cars that you might have. See if they had that. We lined out, you can see the line there, we lined out our rear fender, the part that we wanted to cut out, straight lines. You'll see we tested out another method. We did more of a curve on the other side, but we'll get to that in a minute. So here's us getting all of our spot welds out and trying to get that fender out. Took a bit of time, eventually got there, but you can see it's well rusted. So you can see there, holes gone through, that all needs to be done. Here we are, getting our square piece of metal, getting that welded. So you can see here, what we're doing here is we're getting the inner piece of the arch done and we're going to match it to the curve of the wing itself. So we're just matching that up, getting it welded, and then we're going to get that into the car. You'll see that in 2 minutes. Again, we have our part made. We're going to line up what we want to get cut out of the car, and we're going to cut that out now with our angle grinder. as little as possible, just as far back to any good metal that you can get. get all our rusty metal cut out. You can see there's another piece at the front that we need to get done, and weld it all back up again. The last piece worked out pretty well for us, you can see there, and we're getting the front piece done here now. Bit of an awkward angle, but we got there. Using some metal that we got off, or that we have from a scrap car we have in the backyard, so trying to save as much money as possible with this, but it is a bit of a budget build, so you'll see bits and pieces of that with the suspension that we use, with the wheels that we choose as well. It's just trying to keep costs down with this one. And here we have our finished product. We got some zinc primer over that, just to prevent it from rusting again. So while my father was welding all this, I was getting the cleaning done on the bottom part of this sill. We have these grinding tools for a pneumatic grinder that we have. Got all that done while he was in the welding, got doing cutting, the shaping, so very good welder. And we're getting all that welded up now. Now I'm sure that there's far better videos, so I've seen brilliant videos, really well explained videos when I was trying to see whether I do the welding or not and get the welding done by ourselves at home, but there's really detailed videos if you just have to do a bit of research, far better than what I'm just showing here, a rough process of what we went through to get this car done. But if you want a more in-depth, more detailed video, there's far better ones out there if you want to have a look through those. I mentioned before, you can see that we went with a curved cut for this one. No real reason for it, it was just what we went with at the time, just to try different methods of welding, to see what worked, what didn't. To be honest, they're more or less the exact same. We took our time welding both sides, there was no warping the metal, anything like that, but it was more, I wanted to see, would it be easier to fill, would it be easier to carve and things like that when you were getting onto the painting process, but to be honest, there was no real difference. Now again, take your time with this welding. You don't want to go in one consistent line so that the metal doesn't warp. You want to go in a few spots, move on to your next part, and keep doing that process over and over again. It takes quite a while, but again, you don't want that metal to warp. You want it to come out nice and straight, and yeah. Got the two sides welded up here. Not too bad, we got it done in a reasonable amount of time. I think we got the majority of it done within a weekend, and then some bits and pieces were done after work during the week. Here you can see that this is the inner arch, and you can see it rusted in more or less the exact same place, but they came out pretty well, really happy how they turned out. And we're going to have a look at the suspension now. So I got all new drop links, new lower ball joints, things like that. Anything that needed to be replaced did, and I got full new tying coilovers, Street Advanced Z I believe they're called, and here we have JR7 wheels, HJE35, so a bit of a budget suspension and wheel section there. But again, I really wanted to keep the budget down as much as possible because I just have other commitments and I can't afford getting Enkai RPF1s or other wheels like that. So I just, for now, this is what I'm going with, and maybe we can upgrade then in the future. Here's just a quick painting process that I carried out. So this was done last weekend, and we were really happy to get this done, really delighted, because we're really aiming to get the car on the road for roughly around Easter, definitely by summer. So we need to get new wheels, new tyres, and I need to get all the rubber seals back in, get the lights back in, everything like that, get the brakes checked, get it tracked, get the suspension set up properly. So there's quite a bit to do, but I'm really hopeful we'll get it done by then. Overall, I was really happy how the paint came out, especially because I'm not a professional by any means whatsoever. It's a hobby. I know I make a lot of mistakes, as I said in my last video, but we're getting really happy how the paint came out. We got a little bit of dust settled on the car. Unfortunately, there's not much we can do about that because of the extractor fan we have in this particular spray boot. But a little bit of wet sand, a bit of a polish, and 90%, 99% of that should come out, and it should look really good by the end of that. Probably could have taken the doors off to finish off this painting, but our spray boot isn't big enough to get all the panels off and to spray them at the same time as the car, and I prefer to get everything done in the one go. So it's not the end of the world. I'm still doing my straight lines, things like that, so it should be all fine. Don't think that there'll be any difference whatsoever in paint. It won't even be seen, so it should be all good. And here's our end product. Here's the rear boot. You can see very little orange peel there. Came out really well. Here's our mirror, and really happy. Again, it's like you can't even see any orange peel in there. Here's the front of the bonnet. Just got down low there to see if you could see any dust settle on the butt. Not too bad at all. Really happy how this came out, and on to the next push now, on to the next part of the project. Getting all the rubber seals on. Need to get the radiator replaced, as that's gone a bit green, a bit dark, a bit brown. But again, all parts, all kind of jobs that aren't too tedious. So really looking forward to getting on with the project now and getting it back on the road. Thanks a million, and hopefully we get another one up next week. See you then.